Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
So for September, I thought that it'd be cool to read one of those rarities, an author who is quite prolific, but I don't think that we've ever read a novel by them. And also as well, a particular TARDIS crew that I don't think we've covered quite. He says very seriously. So we are going to be experiencing Speed of Flight by Paul Leonard, featuring the Third Doctor, Mike and Jo.
And now our story continues.
Welcome, everyone, to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. How's it going, Matt?
Going great. Happy September, Chris. How are you doing?
Yeah, all right. By the time you listen to this, dear listener, we'll know who the British Prime Minister is, the new ones.
And unfortunately, it sounds like Russell T Davies may have predicted who that is.
Yes, I think Russell T Davies has. Yes, we are living in years and years fanfic, folks.
Of all the things he foresaw in that, the pandemic was not one of them. But
no.
Everything else.
Well, though one of the candidates, the candidate who is likely to win, who may or may not be depicted in years and years, has said that she doesn't know whether France is a friend or a foe. I thought, oh, okay. There was also dialogue in years and years about people being quite angry at the French about something.
Oh, we went through that in the U.S. When we renamed French fries Freedom Fries for a brief time in the early...
noughties, yeah.
But,
oh, well.
But back to school, and, hopefully the weather's a little bit cooler now. And
Yeah.
We have some Doctor Who book news to discuss. Just a reminder to all our listeners that a new short story anthology is available later this month on September 29th. It's called Doctor Who Origin Stories, and it includes Ace by Sophie Aldred, Sarah Jane Smith by Mark Griffiths, The Master, Kate Lethbridge Stewart, and Madame Vastra by friend of the show Dave Rudden. I'm assuming those are all separate stories, not one story involving all three of them. Ryan Sinclair and Yaz Khan by Emma Norrie, Clara Oswald by Yasminder Bilan, Amy Pond by Nikita Gill, Davros by Temi O, Martha Jones by Farida Abaika Imada, and Jo Grant by Katie Manning. So that should be interesting, and it's all short stories that happened before they met the Doctor. So I'm wondering if we'll get a story by Katie Manning about how she took her A-levels, but perhaps didn't pass. And then on November 3rd, we have a new version of the first ever Doctor Who novel, if you don't count Doctor Who and the Invasion from Space. And it's Doctor Who and the Daleks by David Whittaker. It's getting another re-release. This time fully illustrated by Robert Hack in kind of like a almost graphic novel format. Mm-hmm. And I saw some of the artwork from that, and it looks fantastic.
Cool.
And then finally, Doctor Who is coming to Magic the Gathering sometime next year, the card game. This will feature 4 different self-contained commander decks, as well as collector boosters, including rares, foils, and alternate artwork. And my husband, as a big Magic the Gathering fan and player, is very excited for this. And thinks this will get me into Magic.
Yeah, how's that going to work? Because I've never played Magic the Gathering, but I have an understanding it was of its own universe, but maybe...
Yeah, this is part of Magic's Universes Beyond line, which includes things like Lord of the Rings, Warhammer 40k, Godzilla, Walking Dead, that sort of stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
And this set will also include Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor and elements from that forthcoming season.
Oh.
And the set is expected to launch in Q3 2023, kind of at the tail end of Magic's 30th anniversary celebrations and just at the beginning of Doctor Who's 60th anniversary celebrations.
Oh, that's interesting timing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Kind of a little overlap there.
Yeah, because it also makes you kind of think that maybe we might be seeing a bit more of shooting in the 60th anniversary than maybe I was expecting.
Yeah, maybe at the tail end or something.
Yeah.
Huh.
Cool.
Exciting stuff on the horizon.
Yeah.
I think that brings us to show and tell.
It does. Listener, I have literally just come into the house having run a half marathon. So, excuse me if I'm a bit scatty. I can't remember whose go it is. Is it mine?
I think I go first. This
Yeah,
one.
okay, fair enough. Yes. Yeah, because I picked the book. Yeah.
My show and tell is going to be just talking a bit about Convergence.
Yes.
In Minnesota. So this was the 23rd Convergence and my 23rd time attending. And everyone had to be vaxxed, boosted. Masks were required. Convergence attendance kind of peaked back in 2017 at about 6,500 attendees or so.
Wow.
And this year the official count was 3,437. So still kind of recovering from both the pandemic and a hotel move.
Yeah.
But having fewer people wasn't necessarily a bad thing from an attendee perspective.
Yeah.
And the theme this year was parallel universes and multiverses, and there was a lot of fun Doctor Who content, including a TARDIS parked outside the convention the whole weekend, which got rained on quite a bit. A gallery exhibit of all the Doctors in kind of silhouette against their title sequences, and some fun Doctor Who panels, including in-depth discussions of Division.
Ooh.
And its role contrasting with like the CIA and console room, the convention, not the control room in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And saw some great Doctor Who cosplay throughout the weekend as well. And there were some great Star Trek-related panels, including neurodiversity in Star Trek and worst dads of Star Trek.
Right.
I'm very much enjoying Season 3 of Lower Decks right now as well. So it was a fun convention.
Right. Was there a winner of worst dad in Star Trek? Was it Rom?
I don't think it... No...
Or am I even wrong on my Ferengi? I can't...
No, Ram is Nog's father.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Ben Sisko didn't get very high marks in how he was raising Jake.
Yeah, I can understand why. Yeah. Yeah.
And Kirk was kind of a worse dad when it came to his son with Carol Marcus as well. So.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the child we know about. I'm sure there were probably others.
Yeah. So, speaking of conventions, dear listener, if you go along to the British Fantasy Con this month, which is going to be on, I think it's September the 18th, so it will be shortly after this is released. So it is certainly the weekend round about that date in Heathrow, a glamorous place for a convention. You'll see me, and also you'll see Lauren, not Lauren Deborah, our reader today, but Lauren, my other half, whose voice you hear on the podcast, and she is doing a panel and workshop about how to market your writing, which is 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. It should be good. So, it's the weekend of the 17th and the 18th. Who's she up against? I think she's up against Adrian Tchaikovsky. So,
Cool.
So that's a big name to be up against. So, if you're at the convention, because it covers fantasy, horror, and science fiction, do come along and say hi. If you see a long-haired, blonde, shorter gentleman wandering around, sounding like me, it's me. So go along and say hi.
Very cool. How about you, Chris? The show and tell. What do you have for us this month?
So my show and tell was that we went to London's glittering West End to see 222, which is a ghost story play, a very good one, featuring Mandip Gill.
Oh.
And also Tom Felton, who you may know as Draco Malfoy. It was also, I think it's the first time they've ever actually seen the current companion, or a current companion, in person. It was a very good, very witty play with a lot to say about kind of like modern society. So even though it is a ghost story, but it touches upon lots of issues of class and kind of like divisions in British society. Yeah, and also as well, I think it was written possibly during the pandemic. It's structured so that people could be easily drafted in and out of the cast if need be. So I think Mandip will have left the cast by the time this episode is released, and the next cast has been announced, and there isn't anybody Doctor Who related in it, but I think it is very much worth your time. Yeah, it is creepy, it is scary, but it's also very funny. And features Sark, which we've referenced in that Sixth Doctor book. So yeah.
Oh yeah, Grave Matter.
Yeah, Grave Matter. Huh. So 222. It was also, Mandip Gill. Yeah, I've said before, Lauren is not the biggest fan of the current era. She was very keen to see 222. She was possibly less keen to see Mandip Gill because the only thing she knows her for is the era of Doctor Who that she doesn't like. And Mandip Gill, I think she has a little bit of a thankless task because her character has to be kind of serious whilst there's a whole host of, whilst the other characters have quite lots of witty one-liners. And she's often in states of distraught and despair. So I think it was a hard role to play, but she did it very well.
How did her acting compare to, say, stage versus screen? Because I know sometimes it's a bit of an adjustment for actors to go from one to the other.
Yeah, she seemed to be quite natural. We were in the stalls. It was a birthday treat for Lauren. So we were quite close, but also as well, she'd smashed up her foot on the way in. So, and the stalls in this theatre were in the basement. So there's no lift because it's an old Victorian theatre. Yeah. Well done, Chris. But certainly she seemed to be doing very well because I don't know how much theatre experience she's had, but certainly she did very well. And also Tom Felton, Draco Malfoy, is also very good. And they were playing kind of husband and wife. And you just believed the relationship. Yeah, so 222, well worth your time, I would say.
If there's ever a touring production of it stateside, I might try and check it out.
Yeah.
Cool. So that brings us to our book for this month, which is Speed of Flight by Paul Leonard.
Yeah.
And this is the first book we've reviewed of Paul's, although the previous version of the show did review Dancing the Code. And Venusian Lullaby was Paul Leonard's first Doctor Who novel. And prior to this, he also wrote The New Adventure Toy Soldiers, as well as the aforementioned, Dancing the Code. And after this, he would go on to write a total of 5 Eighth Doctor adventures and contribute 4 stories to the Short Trips series. And in his acknowledgments, he thanks Jim Mortimer, among others, and writes about how he was just finishing the editing on this book when he learned of John Pertwee's passing in May of '96. And this would go on to be published in October of '96. And Paul writes, all of the Doctor's mannerisms and figures of speech used in this book are John Pertwee's and will always be his, and it therefore seems only right that this book should be dedicated to his memory. Anything you would say about Paul Leonard?
I'm just glad that we've got round to reading it because it feels... because someone who's so prolific is like, we've never actually done a Paul Leonard.
And I think he's written outside of Doctor Who.
He has. He also as well was a kind of like a writing coach for a while, and he would, if you paid him, he would read your manuscripts and give you feedback. I don't know whether he still does that. But... Yeah,
it doesn't look like he's done much in the Doctor Who universe since like the mid-2000s.
Well, also Paul Leonard is a pseudonym that he operated under, so I can't remember what his real name was.
In terms of how the book is structured, there's a prologue, then there's 2 books within it. Book 1 is called The Land, which has 12 untitled chapters, and then book 2 is called The Sky with 13 chapters, and then there's an epilogue. And I think we can jump right in.
Yeah, let's.
So the book starts on the planet Numa, and the planet's never actually named in the narrative. You have to read the back cover of the book to find out what the planet is called.
Yes.
So the planet is called Numa, and it's enclosed between the ground and like a living sky, which it's kind of hard to describe. It's depicted on the front cover, but it's kind of like almost like a membrane.
Yeah.
Enclosing the sky, and then the ground is also alive in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a bit of getting your head around, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a very sci-fi story, like capital S, capital F.
Yeah.
And there's a man named Aprido. All the names in this are very challenging, too.
Yes.
So our pronunciations may vary throughout the course of this. So a man named Aprido, he leads an expedition to another land, so like another continent, trying to locate a fallen sun.
Yeah.
But while he's there, two of the expedition members succumb to kind of like their biology and end up fighting to the death against each other. And in the course of their struggle, the sun that they're on, which is like an artificial satellite almost, it's partially reactivated, and Aprito learns all that he needs to know to carry out his great plan. And once he returns to his continent, rumors of his true intentions leak out, and soon the sky and the land are in upheaval. Aprito has a friend named Lofanu who fears that Aprito will destroy their world and realizes that he must betray him, but Aprito is aware of his intentions. And while traveling to the place of the dead, which is like the ground, like a swamp area, Aprito has his men take Lofanu and tie him up in what's called a child forest, which is where all of the children on the planet are, and they're kind of savage and carnivorous. And so he's tied him and one of his men up to die. And that's how it opens. So it's kind of shocking, and
it throws you in there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So meanwhile, back on Earth, Sergeant Benton and is it Sergeant Bell or Corporal Bell?
It's Sergeant Bell in this book, so she's been promoted, and then we'll later see her as a captain in Left-Handed Hummingbird.
Yes, yeah.
So she has a career progression.
Yes, mostly off screen. But yes. Yeah, they set up Mike Yates and Jo Grant on a blind date with each other as a joke, as one does. So they're in London in a train station, and Mike has been sent there on a mission to stop somebody. And he's kind of like expecting he's going to be dealing with some alien thing. I was like, oh, it's Joe. Oh, hello. So it's a good job that Mike wasn't like armed. No, he actually was, wasn't he? Anyway, so they decide to invite the Doctor out to dinner with them. But the Doctor has another offer for them. He decides to take them out to dinner on the planet Karfel.
And what is that from, I wonder?
It's from Timelash.
Did you know that before you picked this book? I was wondering if that potentially influenced your book pick here.
Yeah, and so Mike accepts the offer, but the TARDIS goes off course, and alas, we don't end up on Karfel, but we end up on the planet Numa in the Child Forest. So Borat scenes are kept to a minimum, and they see Lofanu, that friend of Aprito, tied up and being attacked by savage winged creatures, and the Doctor heads out to help, and Mike follows. However, Mike hasn't quite realised that they're on top of a tree, and they're also on a planet where the gravity is only 1/6 that of Earth's.
So comparable to like the moon.
Yeah, and so he tumbles over the side of the tree and falls, and the Doctor has to kind of like follow after him, and he very usefully has a pair of inflatable wings that he uses to glide to safety. And once on the ground, they find some spent bullet cartridges, indicating that this is not a safe place to be.
Yeah, the collapsible wings felt very John Pertwee-esque. Like,
they did.
Like, I've got a gadget for this occasion.
Yeah. It's a shame that the Doctor didn't have them for Logopolis. So.
Yeah. That would have been helpful.
Yes.
So after Jo sees Mike and the Doctor disappear from the scanner, she decides to emerge from the TARDIS as well, and finds that it's too late to save Lofanu because he's already been eaten by these savage children who have wings.
Yeah. And
then a man appears.
Well, it's about here, isn't it, that we have our reading?
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah, which this month is provided by Lauren Deborah. And Lauren is a podcast host, and she is the host of My Dad Stole My Limelight. She discusses kind of various coming out stories. It's a very entertaining listen, and she has, as that title suggests, she has an interesting story herself. Very much worth your time.
Yeah, we'll be sure to link to that
yes.
and her digital journal too. I think
yes.
She has a Substack link.
Yeah,
cool.
She's also a stand-up comic, is occasionally performing in the Vancouver area.
Very cool. All right, so let's have a listen.
Let's see.
I've got to find out what's happening, she decided. If it is Mike or the Doctor, they could need help, and if it's not, it could be something that's going to attack them. She found the door control again and activated it. Outside, Jo at once felt curiously light, as if the ground was likely to fall away from under her. Low gravity, she realised. That's how these huge trees are able to support their own weight. She grinned to herself. It was nice to see that the doctor's habit of thinking about everything as a problem in science had rubbed off to some extent. It was very hot. She'd kept her jacket on in the TARDIS, not knowing what conditions on Karfel were going to be like. But this place was like a steam bath. Condensation had started to form in the air around her feet as the colder air drifted out of the TARDIS. She shrugged out of her jacket and slung it over her shoulder, then closed the TARDIS door behind her. As the condensation cleared, Jo saw that she was standing near the edge of a wooden platform, too near for comfort, especially since there was a large hole in the fringe of leaves immediately in front of her. The edges of the hole were ragged and fibrous, as if recently broken. She peered cautiously over the edge, but couldn't see the ground. Only a descending gloom of tangled trunks and branches. She moved around the TARDIS until she was safely standing in the middle of the branch, but still within range of the TARDIS door if she needed to make a run for it. The scavenged corpse wasn't far away from her. She winced at the sight, but made herself examine it, although there wasn't much left to see, apart from the insects and the rope-like worms. No. She looked again. The white things weren't rope-like worms. They were just rope, moving a little as the insect bodies wriggled around it. The man had been tied up. She tried to remember if the monkey-faced animals had possessed hands. If not, she jumped at a loud tapping sound from the direction of the tree trunk. She looked up, saw a small, dark figure, apparently humanoid, walking across the rough surface of the platform towards her. The tapping sound seemed to be caused by its walk, and was unnaturally loud, as if it were wearing hollow clogs. After a moment, she decided it wasn't human. It was too dark, too wide at the chest and shoulders. As it got closer, she could detect a glossy polish on the surface of its body, as if it were made of wood. Its eyes were blue, and had the appearance of crystals or jewels. A wooden robot? It was less than 50 yards away now. Jo looked over her shoulder at the TARDIS, judging the distance in case she needed to run. She tried to work out what the doctor would do in this situation. Say hello, probably. "Hello," she said. I'm looking for my friends?" The wooden figure stopped and bent down. With a shock, Jo noticed that there was a second corpse, also tied up, also crawling with flies at its feet. She hadn't noticed it against the dark wood. She remembered the second man, the one who'd screamed for help, and shuddered. The wooden figure pulled at the ropes that bound the corpse for a moment. The insects took off suddenly with a shockingly loud roar. "Can you help me?" asked Jo, her voice sounding weak, wavering. She looked over her shoulder at the TARDIS again. The wooden figure looked up. Its eyes glittered. "Can you help me?" it echoed. Its voice sounded hollow and breathy, like a man speaking through a long tube. Jo took a cautious step forward, then pointed to herself. "I'm Jo." The wooden figure stood up. Its eyes glittered again. Then it too took a step forward. "Yes," it said. "Good. You are Jo." It pointed to its own chest. "Can you help me? I am dead."
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Laura.
Thanks, Lauren, so much for reading that. And thanks for all of the really funny outtakes you included, too. We may include a few of those at the end of the show.
Yes.
Those were great.
Yeah.
So Jo emerges from the TARDIS, as we heard, where she encounters the man who was eaten by the children of the planet. And then she's also met by a man who appears to be made of wood. And I had like Groot vibes, I guess, from Guardians of the Galaxy here.
Yeah.
And he tells Jo that he is dead, and dead with a capital D, like almost like it's a different species on this planet.
Yeah.
And then she agrees to help him bury Lefanu so that he too may join the dead. And then she asks Jabanu to help her find her friends. But instead, he takes her to a place where Jo will find all the answers that she needs. And once she's there, she gets sucked into a tree, which is a very kind of creepy scene.
Yes.
Where she's like being enveloped by this tree, and then her brain patterns start to change, and then the tree is altering the way she thinks, almost like brainwashing or hypnotizing her. And she's told to bring the doctor to the dead because he has knowledge that they require.
Yeah, so things are getting weird. The Doctor and Mike, meanwhile, they climb back up the tree that they James Bonded their way down to find the TARDIS missing. And then Aprito's airship returns from its meeting with the dead and discovers them. and Aprito brings them on board and tells them their friend and ship will have been taken by the dead, and agrees to help. However, Mike thinks that something's slightly off with Aprito, and Aprito has kind of like recognised the Doctor's intelligence and hopes that he's going to help Aprito to free his people. Mike manages to get off the airship before it lands at Aprito's home, and he follows it at a distance because he's kind of thinking the Doctor's a little bit captured here and he's wanting to rescue him. And the Doctor, meanwhile, learns about the biology of the people of the planet. And so we're given a little bit of a brain dump.
And this took me a while to like wrap my head around, because it was kind of like dripped out like throughout the novel, where they didn't explain everything at once, and it took me a while to put the pieces together, like how it all synced up.
Yeah. So here we go, folks. Strap in. So children grow in the forest. They bud in the forest like plants, and they grow to maturity and become men, and all male as well. Mm-hmm. And then the men fight to the death, and the winner ripping out the loser's heart and eating it. And the winner is then promoted with a capital P and becomes a Nain, which is a kind of basically an angel type creature capable of flying. And most of the Nain are female, but not all.
Yeah, I think it was like a mix.
Yeah. And the loser of that battle is returned to the land and becomes one of the dead. And and when Nain mate, their seed falls on the forest, fertilizing it.
Almost like fish or something.
Yes. Yeah.
So a lot of different biologies and very alien compared to some of what we've seen in Doctor Who.
Yes. This is, as you were saying earlier, this is very much science fiction with capital S, isn't it?
And Aprito kind of gives me like almost, I want to say like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos vibes. I don't know if you were getting that too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Just kind of out there.
Yeah.
So Aprito hates the trap of biology, feeling that only men, who are preyed upon by the savage children and subservient to the complacent Nain, are capable of real progress. And furthermore, he's determined that the sons of the other 5 lands have all died, and has concluded that the son over their land will one day die as well. So there's like 6 different continents on this planet, and each of the continents had an artificial sun, and 5 of the 6 have failed, and he's worried about the artificial sun over their land also failing. And I think the biology is the same across the planet. I didn't get any indication that other lands had different biologies or anything. Yeah. So Aprito claims to be trying to reactivate the dead sun in order to take his people away from the world before it happens. So the artificial sun, it's like a satellite with its own navigation system and could potentially like leave the planet, although I think it's like within the sky membrane itself. It's kind of, some of that is a little unclear. Yeah. But before agreeing to help, the Doctor consults the legends which Aprito had dismissed as superstition, and kind of speed reading through all the volumes of books that he has, and determines that the creatures of this planet are likely the result of genetic engineering, and as such their biology is linked to this world, and that if they leave, they will die. So the whole life cycle with being buried in the land and being born as like, this tree-like creature. So the Doctor offers to help Aprito find some way to extend the sun's natural lifespan rather than, Aprito's select few hopping in the sun and taking off. But Aprito doesn't accept the Doctor's claims and decides not to tell him the truth, that he in fact does intend to steal that living sun and navigate off-world.
So, you were saying kind of Elon Musk. I mean, there's also, I feel there's a real kind of like ecological parable here as well. Whether that was I suspect that was the intent. But in this world of climate crisis in which we find ourselves, it certainly leaps out at me.
Definitely rang true and hit home.
Yeah, so the Nain, the angel creatures, have learned of Aprito's true intentions, and they're assembling an army with which to stop him from changing the natural order of life. And there's been a kind of like another one of these promotion fights. There's now a female Nain called Zai, who is mentioned. Zai appears in the prologue as a man. Zai. Gosh, and Zai.
I don't blame you. The names in this are...
Yeah, they're hard. Yeah. And Zai is held captive and tortured by the other Nain until she remembers the expedition she was on and tells them about Iprito's plan to steal the sun. And there's been other attempts to kind of try to like circumvent their holy biology. And one man, a guy called Karfel, is summoned to the Nain. And Karfel has been experimenting with extracts of heart meat to try to find a way of artificially ensuring promotion. Although the Nain have got no intention of letting him succeed, there's an older... Is this person a Nain or a man?
I think once they reach a certain age, they are mostly Nain, and
Yeah.
I think there was one guy who never killed anyone, and he was kind of an outcast because...
Yeah,
and he kept trying to find like weak people to like
Yeah.
get alone to try and kill.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
Because that's how the angels earn their wings.
Yes, yes, yeah. So there's an elderly man called Apurian who promises help to Karfel if he finds out what Iprito is up to. Meanwhile, Iprito sends word to one of his associates, a character called Duboli, about the new weaker men that he's found in the child forests. But the message is accidentally intercepted by yet another character, a man called Amonu. And Amonu is weak and fears dying in the final fight of his life. But if he fights one who is weaker than himself, he is sure to win and be promoted. So there's a whole host of people that are of various species that are just being chucked at you.
One of the interesting things is that Jo is referred to as a male throughout most of this, described as a male with weird hips and weird protrusions on her chest, I think was the description. But because everyone around her age is male, they just assumed that she was male as well.
Yes.
And so that took a little bit of getting used to, just like, what is, it took a couple times. I was like, what is going on here?
Yes.
Who are they talking about?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's Jo.
Yes. Yeah.
So pronouns very much come into play
Yes.
in this novel. So Karfel finds Jo near Iprito's home, speaking of the child forest and the dead, and decides that she might know something of Iprito's plans. And he takes her with him to meet Iprito, where they also find Mike searching for a way into Iprito's kind of it's a castle or stronghold. So they try and break in through the cellars, but finds that Iprito has trapped an unpromoted man in the cellars, kind of like his Rancor, I guess, but smaller, disfigured and who's been driven insane as his biology urges him to fight someone who isn't there. And Mike is startled when Jo urges Mike to let the unpromoted man fight and kill him, the land speaking through her there. But then Omanu arrives, this older guy who's looking for someone like a one-off to kill, and creates a distraction which enables Mike to shoot the unpromoted. And then Omanu offers to help them search for a way up into the house. And Mike doesn't have his gun, by the way, so I think the gun he's using is...
Oh, it's one that he's found around.
Has found somewhere on the planet.
Yeah.
Because they have a weird kind of technology. So they have guns, they have artificial satellites and stuff. But, the system was set up probably 4,000 years ago. And Iprito's been building like steam airships.
Yes.
And they also have these little pedal-powered helicopters, which are like a cross between a copter and a almost like a ultralight.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like Leonardo da Vinci's vision of the helicopter, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very similar. So then Omanu offers to help them search for a way up to the house, but manages to get Mike alone, attacks Mike, and rips out Mike's heart. So Mike's dead.
Yes.
and then Karfel catches Omanu and, disgusted by his cowardice, shoots him, and that causes Jo to get shocked out of the conditioning imposed upon her by the dead when she realizes that Mike has been killed. Karfel then buries Mike into the land, but by the time he and Jo enter Iprito's home, they find that he's already left with the doctor, so they missed him due to that fight.
Yeah. It was a bit of a surprising section, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wasn't expecting Mike to die.
No. But it's why I wonder, like, if it was somebody like Bell or someone like, or Osgood or some, or like, okay, this may explain. But you're kind of thinking, Mike is in the Green Death, and he plays quite a bit of a part in Pertwee's final season. So, so somehow we have to undo this.
Yeah, that's a good point. It kind of lost its gravity there, so to speak. Yeah.
So the Doctor suspects that due to Epreto's hatred of the Nayeen, that he hasn't done all that he can to persuade the Nayeen about the kind of of the danger. And as they near the sun, they find an army of Nayeen blocking their approach. And the Preto's men open fire on the Nayeen with machine guns. And when the Doctor tries to stop them, he misjudges his jump and falls over the side of the steam wing. So it's again the gravity, and the different gravity come into play. And he lands amongst the Nayeen. And the Nayeen army's leader, someone called Iniri, senses that the Doctor is a reasonable man and agrees to take him to the Nayeen temples to speak with something called the Flight and learn their side of the story.
And the Flight are like the Council of the Nayeen sort of deal. And the Nayeen also have, I think, 6 or 7 different temples. I think one for each land or each continent. And I couldn't tell if they're like grown from the sky and like almost like a stalactite.
Yeah.
Or they're like floating like a castle in the sky sort of deal, but they're not on the ground.
Yes, they're very much not on the ground. So Preto is fighting his way through the Nayeen army, but is then shot at by a Nayeen using a magical gun that's capable of locating an opponent's heat signature. But Preto does survive this, and he manages to get back to the steam wing, and he pilots it to the wrong entrance to the sun, which perceives the steam wing as an intruder and shoots it down. But he'd already kind of like leapt from the steam wing. The flare caused by the explosion shows where some of the Nayeen are, and so Preto kills them. And he then enters the sun by reciting a secret password, Apex. So, is it making sense, listener? It's a horse of weird concepts, isn't it?
Yeah, and the sun is almost cool to the touch, too, where it's like it's really bright, and it can shoot lasers, but he's able to enter it by using that password.
Yes.
So then, back kind of in the thick of things with the battle, Carolee overpowers Apreto's guards and finds Apreto's secret notes, which reveal his true plans to use a poison acquired from the dead back on the land to destroy the sky. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a viral infection that can eat away at the membrane that the sky is holding the sky in, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Dibali arrives and releases the guards who kill Carolee, and then Jo escapes but is pursued and steals one of these like mini helicopters called a pedithropter, I guess for the feet.
Yeah.
And then trying to seek sanctuary with the Flight and warn them of the danger. But meanwhile, Zai awakens and sees the bodies of the Nayeen killed in the battle with Apreto's men, and she blames herself for the carnage and flings herself from a gondola, but collides with Jo's helicopter. And when they compare notes, they conclude that Apreto intends to administer the poison at the Nayeen's temples, which are again scattered across the planet, and they attempt to reach the temples first to warn the Nayeen of the danger.
And the Doctor manages to convince Apurian. Oh, who's Apurian?
He's the old guy who keeps trying to kill people.
So many names. That tries to convince Apurian that the biology of the inhabitants of this planet is the result of an illegal genetics experiment conducted 5,000 years ago by the Arpex Corporation, which is what that password was that Apreto's used to enter the sun. And the Doctor builds a device that should enable him to shut down the sun by remote control. But the sun kind of like detects this and informs Apreto about what's happening. So Aprito just then turns the sun's laser weapons on the nine temples. And whilst the Doctor and Iniri escape, Arpurian remains to die with his temple. The Doctor heads off to the sun to reason with Aprito. But Aprito is convinced that he's leading his people into a glorious future and won't accept the Doctor's claim that the sun's database is 5 millennia out of date. Because Aprito is seeing all these verdant green worlds, but the Doctor's saying that these...
Like in the databanks and
yes,
stuff.
Yeah. And the Doctor's saying that these have long been colonised by other people. And also may have creatures on there that might not like this happening. And the Doctor tries to shut down the sun's navigational program. And Aprito tries to kill him. And the struggle, the Doctor falls out of the sun, but without his gliding wings.
Which kind of fold up into the size of an orange coin.
Yeah.
And as he's like falling out of the sky, Aprito like picks up the wings that had fallen out of his pocket or whatever in the struggle. And the Doctor's like, throw me the wings. And Aprito like looks at his hand and he looks at the Doctor and he's like, no. And he, allows him to try and fall to his death.
Yeah.
I was wrong about Apurian earlier. That was one of the Nain, and not
just,
the old guy. There's just a lot of names.
So many names.
So Jo and Zai are caught on the edge of the explosion when Aprito destroys the temples, and Zai falls to the ground, where she's captured by an army of the dead, led by Mike Yates. And Mike is very much almost like in a golem form, where he's kind of clay-like and trying to like reconstitute himself almost. Aprito had told the dead that he required the poison to fight an attack from another land, but then the dead have realized that he lied to them. And so when Zai reveals Aprito's true intentions, the dead give her an antidote and send her to the sky. Aprito, certain that the Nain have discovered his plans, decides to move the timetable up, and after a brief struggle with his conscience, Dubali decides to go ahead and poison the sky membrane. And Aprito then shoots Zai down before she can administer the antidote to the sky wall. But then Dubali, finally won over by the Doctor's claims, so like Aprito's lieutenant, and by the growing evidence of Aprito's obsession, tries to fight him to stop Aprito from destroying the world. And he hadn't realized how close Aprito is to his own promotion. So like, when he gets to that level of maturity, like the men sort of almost like Hulk out for their final fight, which turns into a duel. And Aprito wins, ripping out Dubali's heart, which he then eats and kind of starts cocooning himself as he begins to then transform into a Nain, which I don't think he ever wanted to do because he didn't like the Nain and he just killed all of them. So, whoops.
Yeah, oh well. But yeah, so Jo is rescued by the sky, and the sky is sentient, and starts questioning her about the various explosions. And she warns the sky about the poison, but the infection's already too advanced. And so the sky gives Jo a travel pod, with which he can fetch an antidote from the dead. And on the way down, this travel pod encounters the falling Doctor. Yeah, remember that plot, that subplot, and rescues him.
It takes him a long time to fall.
Yes, well, gravity's
6 times the usual time.
Yeah. And Jo takes him to the dead, who try to alter his mind with the same pseudo-telepathic viruses that are used on Jo, but the Doctor's able to resist them, agreeing to help them only on his own terms. And fearing that the TARDIS is perhaps a little bit too unreliable as a means of transportation. That's fair. He hopes to use the travel pod, but they're attacked by some of the carnivorous children of the forest, and they're kind of like being delayed for too long. And the travel pod is already kind of like starting to die. And also now the sky has burst into flame, and fragments of the burning sky are falling onto the land below, devastating it.
So things are looking quite grim.
Yes, as much as you can understand them, things are looking grim.
The sky is falling, literally.
Yeah.
So the Doctor uses the TARDIS to take the dead to the sun to conduct repairs, through loading the TARDIS into this travel pod. But once there, the dead begin to carry out the emergency instructions of the Apex Corporation. And since word of the illegal experiment cannot be permitted to get out, the experiment must be shut down, and the dead then begin to slaughter Aprito's followers. So there's a lot of killing in this, where you've already had most of the bird-like creatures, the winged angels, get wiped out, and now the dead are slaughtering the men who are in the middle stage.
Yeah.
So Jo tries to stop Mike, and Mike then shoots Jo in the head.
Yes.
Fortunately, it's like the bullet only grazes her skull, but the doctor lies to Mike, claiming that she's now forever brain dead. And this is enough to kind of shock Mike out of his hypnotism, or, the brainwashing from the land. And so Mike starts hesitating, being confused. And this gives the doctor the opportunity he needs to access the sun's databanks and prove that the emergency instructions have changed, and that the Apex Corporation terminated the experiment over 2,000 years prior and granted all of Numa's inhabitants legal status as sentient beings. And this causes the dead to stand down and allow the doctor to begin repairs. So I don't know if the dead were it was like a computer algorithm that got out of hand or something, but it very much responds to the corporation's instructions, I guess.
Yeah. So after a lot of hard work, the sky is restored, the sun is put back in its place, and Mike is restored to life in his original body. There is no further explanation.
Yeah, they very much gloss over that.
Yes. There we go. There. Yeah, Mike's back. I'm like, what? He was kind of very much killed. And Mike has no memory of anything that happened after his death. And Jo decides not to tell him that he shot her in cold blood. And Aprito, who's now a Nain, has learnt his lesson and agrees to work more slowly towards change on his world. And that ends the book. What did you make of Speed of Flight?
Like I mentioned, it's a very sci-fi driven story, and I have to give Paul Leonard credit for attempting to create an alien world, but it felt, I guess, a little bit more like a sci-fi novel that happened to have Doctor Who characters in it.
Yeah.
Versus it being a proper Doctor Who story, I guess. I also felt it seemed, in terms of its alienness, it reminded me quite a bit of Ray Bradbury's The Martian Chronicles, and some of the depictions of Martians in that, and just how completely alien things were. But yeah, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I found it really confusing at times. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, like you, I appreciated the fact that we are seeing a truly alien world. It felt like a latter-day attempt to write a Malcolm Hulke kind of thing, because it did feel if Malcolm Hulke might have done a Missing Adventure if he'd still been alive at this stage, it might have been something like this. Yeah, it certainly felt quite true to the spirit of the era in that way, in that you had, because there's no real out-and-out villain.
I mean, Preto kind of, but I mean, he's motivated by, I don't even know if good intentions, but when he starts mowing down the Nain with machine guns, it's he's kind of a villain too.
Yes, but he's not a mustache twirling. I mean, he doesn't say, nothing in the world will stop me now or anything. He believes that what he is doing is right. And I guess that's a sign of a good villain, but there's a debate as to, I think we can debate as to what extent he's an antagonist. But yeah, he's interesting. But the problem is, I think a lot of the other characters aren't. And there's a whole host of these odd names, and I couldn't tell you much about their personality or anything, apart from, and most of them are thinking that Jo is a deformed man.
Yeah, with Aprito, there was a line that I really liked about his transformation, where one of the other characters remarks, he had destroyed the world because he was afraid of growing up. And I did like that line.
Yeah.
The other characters were not as well developed as he was, and a lot of them were interchangeable, and I had to kind of keep a little cheat sheet going of who each of them were, and it was very confusing.
When you're having to make notes to kind of keep up, it does show that something possibly is slightly going awry.
I did enjoy all of the low gravity stuff. I thought that was kind of fun and different, and was cool to see depicted. And I liked some of the biology stuff that was going on. It felt overly complicated, and you kind of lose me when, like, during one of the battles at the end, when the land just start like murdering all of the children in the forest, like even though they're carnivorous and murderous themselves, they're like scenes of like different Groot style creatures like just whacking, like dashing the babies against the rocks sort of deal, and it was just a little creepy there. Let's talk a little bit about the characterization of the main characters. So like the Doctor I thought was suitably doctorish, but I didn't feel like he was in this a whole lot.
No.
And I didn't appreciate, that he was separated from Mike and Jo for almost the entirety of the story.
Yeah.
Mike didn't feel very much like Mike Yates to me. I thought his depiction in Deep Blue that we read, a while back felt more like Mike to me than his depictions here. He just seemed almost like a interchangeable soldier. Like it could have just as easily been Benton. Yeah. Like there wasn't a whole lot of Mike characterization. Jo felt like Jo, but she also didn't get a whole lot to do. Although her lock-picking skills came in handy several times.
Yes. I mean, she's possessed for quite a bit of the book, as is Mike as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and didn't care for how Mike was so quickly resurrected at the end. It just felt inconsequential. And another thing I didn't care for was that their barbaric system was still in place at the end, so there's no changes to children eating people, having to kill another man to get your wings, or getting turned into like a tree-like zombie. Like all those things are still in place at the end of the story, and I don't know, I guess overall it felt more weird than fun to me.
Yes, I can understand that. There is a great Doctor speech in which he says, "You're destroying yourselves, not saving yourselves. Your only chance of survival is to reverse your actions and try to live with each other. Your civilization has survived for 4,000 years, and it should be possible for you to carry on surviving almost indefinitely." And I found that really speaks to the moment that we're in, doesn't it? I think. So, some nice Doctor speeches, but I guess the whole reason why Karfel gets referenced is because, like, in Timelash, Tekka says that thing about, oh, it's just two of you. And so, therefore, suggesting that the third Doctor travelled with more people at some point.
Which would make sense with Mike travelling with him, and maybe they go to Karfel after this.
Yeah.
But, I wish we would have gotten that story instead. And I don't know if that's ever been explored, in the expanded media, like if there's been a big finish on Karfel, or no. I don't know that that's been fleshed out.
It was going to be, because there was that novel that the synopsis of got published by, was it Jonathan Morris and Lance Parkin? We have spoken about it on a previous show, which featured the Bandrels trying to attack Earth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and they published the excerpts from it on their blog. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, could have, but So, all right. I think you were going to ask the same question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
How are you going to rate this?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I feel like it was technically well written. Paul Leonard is an accomplished author. It was imaginative. I just didn't care for the story he was telling, I guess. It didn't feel all that compelling or fun. And I don't know that I can really recommend it. Like I said, it felt more like a sci-fi novel with Doctor Who characters sprinkled in. How about you?
I think I'm going to go for a 5 as well. It's just, at times it was a bit of a slog, but I liked the kind of like the message about ecology and climate stuff.
It was a real missed opportunity with Mike there, what he goes through here and subsequently in The Green Death. The author could have pulled those threads together in terms of Mike's awakening environmental activism, which would help explain his actions in Invasion of the Dinosaurs. And we didn't get any of that here. And I guess, unfortunately, I think the new series episode that I'd say that this story is most comparable to is The Doctor's Daughter, where you have different factions and, genetic manipulation and something set up gone awry.
Yeah.
And so it's not the best story to compare.
That's not a classic, no.
Like I said, there's imaginative bits, there's some striking imagery.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a terraformed world, with low gravity and 6 artificial suns.
Yeah.
And they're slowly turning off one by one. That's a great concept. It's just, there's so much layered on top of that it just ceases to become effective for me. And I guess half the fun of reading this, if you can call it that, was trying to figure out how life works on this planet and its history and kind of piecing together those clues that are dropped along the way.
Yeah.
And it's become slightly less confusing as you read through it, but it's kind of a thought experiment in that sense.
Yeah. It is. It's a mystery box rather than something with actual characters. And
yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I mean, we got a sci-fi book.
Yeah, we did.
That's
we did.
for sure.
We did.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting
Right.
story, and hopefully someday we'll get the tale of them going to Karfel.
Yeah, I'm not sure we will, but hey ho. Yeah. Maybe I'll write it.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, why not? So, shall we move on to listener feedback?
Yeah, let's.
So we got a nice note from Jessica in Ohio. She writes, "Hi, Chris and Matt. I'm a newish listener, and as a Michelle Gomez fan, The Missy Chronicles was my first episode.
Ooh.
I've since gone back and listened to your entire back catalog, and I now feel like I've read over 60 Doctor Who novels in the past few months, or at least the Cliff Notes version."
Yes.
And she says, my favorite episodes are when we review short story collections, and she loves the TARDIS timer. Thank you, and please keep up the fantastic work.
Oh, cool.
So
Thank
you so much, Jess, for that nice note.
Yeah,
and
good.
Listeners, if you'd like to write in and drop us a line, please do so at andwbcpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. We heard on Facebook from Jay Barry, and it was in response to Earthworld. And he says that Jacqueline Rayner gets a good balance of emotion with the comedy by exploring Angie's processing the loss of Dave from the previous book. And the final scene where she finally acknowledges that he's gone, the scene in her mind shortening each time she thinks of it, is very strong. And I would agree. So.
Thanks, Jay, for those comments. On the Twitter side, we heard from Joe, a.k.a. Joe Nero, on Twitter, asking about Earthworld, if this was Angie's second trip in the TARDIS. Yeah, so I think in her introduction story, she did do some space travel. I don't know if she did time travel in that one. And he says he remembers the truth about her relationship ending was handled quite well, kind of echoing Jay Barry's comments.
Yeah.
And we also heard from Netro Phil, a.k.a. Phil GW92, who asks if there are any differences between the two versions of Earthworld. And he was wondering whether the original text got abridged or edited down. No differences that we found between the two stories. I think we both read the re-release from the 50th. We noted that a typo from the original text carried over to the digital version, so I'm not sure that the text was updated. Yeah. We also heard from Kenny Smith, a.k.a. Finished Zine on Twitter. He says he's really looking forward to hearing what we think about Earthworld, and that it's on their radar for a future Pieces of Eighth episode. And then finally we heard from Keith Say, 50DW50 on Twitter, saying he very much enjoyed the Earthworld podcast, and scary to think about how long ago it's been since he's read it, and he still loves those years of Eighth Doctor stories.
Cool.
Definitely a highlight of the wilderness years for lots of folks, I think.
Right. So, unless I'm much mistaken, I think this is where you tell us what we're going to be reading next month.
Yeah, and I'm deciding to go a little bit off the beaten path here.
Okay.
Rather than, because I know we're getting close to finishing out the Doctor cycle, but I also, October is one of my favorite months. We've got Halloween in that month.
Yeah, we do.
So I've decided that we're going to read the short story anthology Tales of Terror.
Ooh! Okay.
And this was originally published in 2017 in hardcover, and the paperback came out in 2019.
Okay.
And it features 12 stories by 6 different authors, so I think it's 2 stories per author.
Okay, cool.
And I would recommend both the audio version, because there are multiple narrators, including Sophie Aldred and Derek Jacobi.
Oh, very nice.
And a visual version as it is illustrated. So take your pick there.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So for October, in the spirit of Halloween, we'll be reading Tales of Terror.
Yeah, and also as well, it might possibly be available in libraries as well in the UK, maybe.
Yeah, it should be.
So yeah, fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. That should be good.
And available digitally as well, of course.
Yes, yeah. I am very excited for Tales of Terror.
Figure good to change it up a little bit and get some spooky stories in.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, until next month, this has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song Doctor Who theme Swing Jazz version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. Help other listeners to find us by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
Hi, Chris, Mr. Lauren. I am somewhere I never thought I'd be. Oh, and sorry, hi, Matt, also. Somewhere I never thought I'd be again. I'm back in the closet. Here I am, sitting among my shoes and my beautiful clothes to record this with the finest audio quality possible. I watched the clip you sent. Jo is legend. Great curtain bangs in some of those clips, gotta say. Might want to grow my hair out and replicate the haircut. Side note, I've only ever watched Doctor Who once, and it was by accident. I was on the farm when I was a kid. I was flicking through the channels, it came on, and I have to tell you, I was like, this is really cool. And I watched a whole episode and I loved it, and then I never watched it again. But I've done that with a lot of shows. I don't want you to take offense. I'm like, wow, how have I never seen this? And then my life goes on. Anyway, I thought about whether I should try and do the accent, and I'm not gonna, because I will sound like Baby Spice, and that's not great. Okay, here we go. Trapped in a closet. Okay. Can you help me? Asked Jo, her voice sounding weak. Oh, I should probably make her voice sound weak then. Can you help me? Its voice sounded hollow and breathy, like a man. Breathy? Like a man speaking through a long tube. Okay, well, how do I make that sound? Maybe you'll be able to make it sound good with the sound effects. Can you help me? No, that's just a whisper. I need like the Britney Spears thing to make my voice sound, you know? You know what? I'm going to do it one more time, and then you can just let me know if we need to do something, but I feel like maybe you'll do something with sound effects. I don't know. I don't know whether it's meant to sound like her or sound breathy. Anyway. Okay, I don't know how to do its voice. I'm so sorry. So I think that might be something you might want to give me feedback on, and I can redo it. Bleh.